What's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here from DFS Army. You guys know me as the Geek, and this is the NFL Fanduel Week 13 first look. It is Week 13 of the NFL season, and it is Tuesday. And every Tuesday, what I love to do, I look forward to it. Actually, I do this before, but really I try to hold it for Tuesdays, is take a look at the FanDuel pricing system for the week. FanDuel. And try to take a look at what we're up against for the NFL Week 13 main slate. So let's get right into it. And again, before I actually want to look at the pricing, I like to look at the game tiles and get a sense of which games are attractive for what reasons. So let's jump right into it and go through some of these games here. You've got the Vikings taking on the Lions here in a game where Vikings lost Dalvin Cook. It looks like the Alexander Madison show. Alexander Madison. I've been waiting in the wings for you. So I can't wait to see what Alexander Madison, what kind of price point he's at, because obviously when you get, sometimes these backup running backs are even better than the starter because there's no Alexander Madison waiting to take touches away from Madison, the way that Cook has with Madison. So a lot of times the backup, especially a really talented one, can do really well. Obviously, it's a perfect matchup against the terrible Lions run defense. So hopefully he's priced at a point where we can get some exposure to him here. Next up, we've got the Colts at the Texans, and that looks like an absolute Jonathan Taylor smash game. Once again, Taylor probably going to be priced up really high, so might be tricky to afford, but, massive favored Colts at Houston. Pretty comfortable spot for that running game. You've got the Eagles at the Jets. This feels a little bit more like a Jalen Hurts game than anything else. Jets players might be interesting here, I guess. Pass catchers. Some Eagles games go really low scoring like we saw this past week. So, I'm kind of looking at Eagles defense as the best play here and maybe a little bit of Jalen Hurts just to put a beating on him. But again, I think the Eagles aren't the kind of team that lays it on. They're more of a team that will run the football extensively. So could be a little interesting spot for Jalen Hurts anyway. Here you got the Cardinals at the Bears, and probably the return of Kyler Murray. A Kyler Murray that's not going to run because he got an ankle issue is not a Kyler Murray that I'm interested in. I don't want none of that. As a matter of fact, I think James Conner is probably one of the really good plays from that game on the Cardinal side. And of course, Montgomery is going to be somewhat interesting as a massive volume machine for the Bears, but it's hard to really get too excited about the Bears early in the week. Could change my mind, but early in the week, not too excited about them. Here we got the Giants at the Dolphins, and potential game for Tua to keep an eye on, but with a 41-point total, that doesn't look like a high-scoring affair at all. Here's one that's really interesting: 50.5-point total game. You've got the Bucs at the Falcons, and there's a narrative I want to talk about here. It's called stud off a dud. Everybody played Tom Brady last week. Everybody played Godwin and Evans and the whole crew. And outside of Gronk and, of course, the leverage play of Leonard Fournette, it was a real bust. To me, I go right back to the Tom Brady play. Listen, there's a reason why we weren't so high on Leonard Fournette before the week. And that's because Brady likes to throw for touchdowns. He loves throwing tutties. And that game, it just didn't work out. Variance caused Leonard Fournette to get all the touchdowns. You think it's going to happen again? Because when you look at this game, the Bucs are scheduled or projected to score 30 and 3/4 points. You can see it on the screen. 30 and 3/4 points. That's 7, 14, 21, 28. That's 4 touchdowns, just like last week. 4 touchdowns to go around. We need Brady to get 3 of them to smash. I think it's very possible. That's all I'm saying. He can get all 4. That's all I'm saying. Go right back to it. Flip side of that game, Cordero smashed this pad. Cordero's so good. He's still underpriced on FanDuel, as you will see. And he's probably playable here, but, it's hard to want to play running backs against the Bucs' elite run defense. Next, we've got the Bengals taking on the Chargers. High total game, 50.5. That's one of the better sort of on paper games of this slate, close, high-scoring affair potentially. That really could go either way. Bengals definitely like to lean on the run, and the Chargers, they have it's always I never like stacking the Chargers because I don't love Keenan Allen that much, and Mike Williams is so volatile. So I don't know really who scores for them, but somehow Herbert manages to have these great scores. I might go Herbert naked and maybe not stack him in this one. I got to think about what I want to do with Herbert there. And with Burrow, I think we have to just look at Burrow as a quarterback that can have great games if the opposing team is stopping the run. But if they're not, then Joe Mixon will steal all the fantasy goodness. Washington at at Las Vegas, taking on the Raiders. That game looks pretty nice too. Not a whole lot of stackability, I would say, on these two teams. Again, Raiders, very tough team to stack, but with Waller out, I definitely like Foster Moreau at tight end. We'll see if we want to pay all the way down to tight end on Fanduel this week, but Moreau had a great game the last time Waller was out. On the flip side, Washington might be without J.D. McKissic, which elevates Antonio Gibson to potential must play if the price is right. We'll find out. Antonio Gibson looked great this past week. We got the Rams at the Jaguars. When a team is favored by that much, normally we think that would be a good spot for the running back. We've got to check the status of Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson in play, if he's plays, fine, he's okay. But coming in with the Q tag, I'd be a little concerned that they lower his workload. If he's out, then Sony Michel for free. That's going to be the player of the week. So we'll see if Darrell Henderson is able to play in this game. We'll find out. Next up, we got San Francisco at Seattle, and also some interesting notes for San Francisco. So last week, Deebo Samuel, aside from Elijah Mitchell having an incredible game at the running back position, and now there's this great matchup at Seattle. Seattle's playing terrible. It just looks like the kind of game where San Francisco will dominate via the run. Eli Mitchell looks even better potentially because Deebo Samuel's out in this one. And Deebo's been playing running back and getting a lot of really, really high, high scoring touches. Not that I don't think it's necessarily a great positive, but it doesn't hurt that he's out. That means more touches potentially for Elijah Mitchell. And I think we'll notice, because I watched the game and I was paying attention, they're actually throwing a little bit to Elijah Mitchell as well. So involving him in the passing, I can't wait to look and see if I was correct in, maybe I threw him more than once. Let's see. But I know that Mitchell was somewhat involved in the passing game, so that's really, really cool. And finally, you've got Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Not a whole lot to like here. Baltimore, it's a 44-point total. Nothing. It's an unsexy team total. You're always interested, I guess, in Deontay, but he's always more of a DraftKings than FanDuel play, all that PPR upside. Najee Harris, not as much of a touchdown scorer as you would like from an expensive running back. And with Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's going to be interesting, but Lamar Jackson's up and down. People are miscalculating him as being this great cash game quarterback. His returns, I'll show it on screen, have not been consistent. So I don't know that I'd want to use him in cash, but Lamar Jackson can also pop off at any time. I just think the team is holding him back, but some of these Steelers games do pop off. So we'll keep that in mind. I don't really want any Devontae Freeman or whatever in that game. So what I've done here is I've taken the Domination Station Optimizer from DFS Army, and I've just sorted by value so that we can get a look at each position group and try to identify the best value plays according to the very, 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 very early week projections. These projections are Tuesday. Injury news hasn't been filtered in. Nothing official has come out yet, so they're going to be very, very preliminary. But a couple, things of note. James Conner is really popping here. He's been great as the full-time running back when Chase Edmonds has been out, so I make it 7,300, reasonable price. David Montgomery over here, 6,500. Eli Mitchell, 7,600, reasonable price for that incredible role that he's going to have. And Jonathan Taylor, of course, with probably the highest raw projection on the slate by far. I mean, he's multiple points higher than even Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon priced up crazy. Oh, there he is. Alexander Madison, 8,700. What are you doing, FanDuel? If they kept him at 7K, it would be an all-in play. But at 8,700, you're paying good money. So with a quick glance of some of these salaries and values. Let's jump over to FanDuel, check out the NFL product, and see if we can make a lineup that looks good as long as the FanDuel NFL is functional. Here we go. So that was a slower load than usual. Kind of bizarre. Anyway, before I get into making this lineup, of course, remember to like and subscribe this channel if you want this style of content across all your DFS needs. I'm here week after week breaking down these games, showdown breakdowns, everything you need right here in the DFS Army YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed. You like the video if you like it. Helps out the algorithm, I suppose. So taking a look, and let's get started at the running back position this week and just kind of flow our way down here at the running back spot. So I mentioned there is some extreme value, and I want to scroll down to it, or we'll get to it at the end. But Jonathan Taylor, of course, in a great matchup, you almost kind of want to pull the trigger on him at 10-5. We'll see if we need to. But at Houston, you couldn't ask for a better setup. He's just on fire as well. Joe Mixon, another running back that's been on fire. The volume is insane. 4 targets, 28 rushes, 30 rushes the week before. Like, where was this all season? All of a sudden, I think I actually have a theory. I think that Joe Mixon was hurt and the team lightened up the load on him for a few weeks. And that's why we saw this sort of lull, because it's hard to understand anything else. But take a look at his consistency. Joe Mixon has been in the nuts Millie Maker lineup at this point 5 times already this season. He has been the best running back to own in DFS across this entire season. So kudos to that. Moving on, you've got Austin Eckler in, a great on paper matchup against the Bengals, who have been allowing a ton of points to opposing running backs, certainly in play at 9K. Madison, the aforementioned, couldn't ask for more than a matchup against Detroit. A little priced up, though. Basically, they just slotted him in as Dalvin Cook, which I don't know how much Dalvin Cook I'd be excited for in this matchup. So I'm not sure how much Madison I'll play here on FanDuel. I'll probably maybe play him a little more on DraftKings instead. Continuing down the list, Najee Harris, again, not much of a touchdown score. I think he can have a big game, but 8K FanDuel, I'm going to probably look for more bargain options. Leonard Fournette coming off the monster game, right? 40-point score. But it's noteworthy that he's only had one other kind of like good game, really good game this year. Let's say the 27-pointer against Philadelphia on October 14th. So, am I going to bet on him repeating what he did last week? Probably not. But, it's noteworthy that you can get Fournette still relatively inexpensive. So Eli Mitchell is one of the first names that pops off the page for me this week. Tons of volume. Great matchup. I wish he was at home. He's playing on the road, but, probably no Deebo Samuel. No real vulture there. They hate Trey Sermon. Let's see. He did get targeted. Look at that. 6 targets, 5 receptions. So all of a sudden now he's being used more and more in the passing game. I thought the finger would prevent that. But they love Eli Mitchell, and I love Eli Mitchell too. We have a mutual affection for Eli Mitchell, so I'm slotting him in right there. Darrell Henderson is in a great spot, but I'm not dealing with this questionable tag, quadriceps situation right now, especially in the early week breakdown. Later on in the week, they're like, nah, it's fine, cool. But I'm kind of, I don't want to say hoping, but I wouldn't be upset if we got some Sony Michel chalk. Boom, Sony Michel, super cheap against the Jaguars. That would be something this week if Darrell was out for 1 week. Cordero, I think, is best left on the bench this week as he's going up against a really nasty Tampa defense. And, we've seen Cordero have a good game against Tampa. As a matter of fact, 21 points. He's had a good game against New Orleans, who's also a very good run defense. So he might be matchup proof. But I just think that the Falcons are just going to be a disaster in this game. So it's really hard to like the Falcons at all. But yeah, again, Cordero might be matchup proof. So we might need to get a little bit of exposure. James Conner, the Terminator, popping off the screen as a massive value play, mostly because of the expected volume. Take a look at this. In these games without Edmonds, 21, 5 receptions, 21 rushes. He's had 2 games like that. Both have produced really, really good fantasy point production, 7, 14, 21. We need about 21 fantasy points from Connor to sort of help us win a tournament on FanDuel. But, his average 15 to 18 for 7K, that's not killing your lineup at all. It's just fine. Moving down the list, I think, Saquon Barkley is probably more of a DraftKings guy for me. Giants just don't score a lot. That game total is really low. So I'm not going to be excited about him. Not really into James Robinson at the Rams or Josh Jacobs. I'm not normally going to play him. So here's an interesting one. Again, Miles Sanders might be out. If he's out, Boston Scott, mild interest against the Jets, I would say. I'm a little surprised at how expensive he is. David Montgomery, workhorse, back 6,500. Not bad. Jamal Williams with no Swift could be good. Matchup, not that difficult. I'm mildly interested in Jamal Williams. I am. I'm interested in Jamal Williams. Myles Gaskin, 6,400. Playable. But my guy, my all-in, my favorite play, you're paying all the way down, 6,200. Now, you might say, hey, you're chasing Monday night. But am I? They're up against they're up against the Raiders. Where is he? They're up against the Raiders. Raiders are giving up the 29th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. There's no J.D. McKissick potentially here to vulture, and that's the big deal. Washington doesn't have anyone else. So project Gibson for another 20-plus touches for 6K. What more can I ask for? Nothing. I can ask for nothing more. That is perfection. Okay, so now we've got a couple of, I'm going to call them generic value running backs plugged in. And Eli Mitchell's not generic, super cheap, but he is in a great spot. Now we want to take a look at the defense position and see if there's anyone that we can pay, that we can afford at a lower price point than, having to pay all the way up. So these first four, no. Houston, no. Washington, maybe. It'd be interesting to pair Washington defense with Gibson, I suppose. Jets, not really. Chargers at Cincinnati, no. We want home teams. Chicago, if you had to. Seattle, no. Giants at Miami, probably not. Bengals at home against the Chargers, no. Pittsburgh at Baltimore, yeah, you can play Pittsburgh. Miami at the Giants, yeah. Oh, yeah. Giants are going to be without Daniel Jones, which means Mike Lennon, the pencil neck. That's a playable situation. Vegas is playable. 49ers is playable. Tampa is definitely in play. Colts. So it looks like FanDuel obliged and priced up their defense position pretty intensely. The Rams, come on. Arizona, we're going to have to pay up on defense. So in order to pay, we're going to have to pay up on defense. Sorry, nothing we can do. Arizona, yeah, I want to play them. Rams at home against the Jaguars, hell yeah. Eagles at the Jets, oh, hell yeah. Yeah, too many good ones. Got to pay up. Colts, sure. Yeah, I'll take that. So I'm going to go with the Rams in this first look lineup. All right, now let's pick a quarterback wide receiver stack to sort of build the rest of our lineup around. I already talked about Lamar. Lamar's perfectly playable. I don't know if he's a first look lineup kind of guy for me, but perfectly playable in this spot. If I did Lamar, I'd want to have like an Andrews and a bring back from the Steelers. Definitely game stackable. But I'm not going there because I'm going to try to build something a little more, a little higher floor. And Lamar's, again, I talked about his production this season. He's perceived as this consistent guy, but 18, 30, 20, 19, 40, 13, 23, 32, 16, 13. So he's getting a lot of these 16s and a lot of these 13s. Here's 1, 2, 3, kind of 4 or 5 games, sub 20 points. Here's a 20-pointer. So kind of 6 games right around 20 points. And then, 1, 3 games over 30. So he's got a wide range of outcomes. Definitely more of a tournament play, but when he does at 8,500, he really hurts your lineup. So got to be careful there. Justin Herbert, he's fine, totally fine, perfectly playable. Could pop off in this game. Game is one of the better projected ones. Bengals allow a ton of fantasy points to quarterbacks. I don't love stacking him per se, but I don't mind him. But a couple other names down here that I think might even be better, and I think we go right back to Tom Brady. If I'm honest, you don't have to game stack it, but Tom Brady's so easy to stack. We can get Gronk in there with him. We can hopefully, if Antonio Brown is back, that'll hurt things a little bit, hurt the choices. But I'm not assuming. You know what? Let's check. Let's see if there's a blurb about Antonio Brown. Let's see what it says. Brown will be the Bucs' only player with an out designation. No, this is from last week. I think he's out one more. I'm not seeing anything that says he plays. And assuming that Antonio Brown is out, I think we just plug in one of Evans or Godwin. And let me see where Godwin is. Is he? I can't even find him. Is he? There he is. Okay, so him and Evans about the same price. I will just go randomly with Evans. One of the hardest things about playing Brady in general is how do you pick between Evans or Godwin? They're the same. Anybody who tells you different, they're full of shit. It's just that simple. You never know which one's going to pop off. So since we did Brady to Evans, and they're going up against Atlanta, unless we were planning on playing Cordero Patterson, which I think he's playable. I don't want to bring back from the Falcons. They suck, right? Falcons suck. So I don't want to bring back from them. All right. So we mentioned earlier that Deebo Samuel's probably out, which elevates Brandon Ayuk. But wow, FanDuel really obliged and jacked up his price point. That's no fun. All right. Well, I don't know if I want to play Ayuk for 7K. I think he's in play. A couple of the names. So you gotta like Marquise Brown here, 7,100. Terry McLaurin, part of this kind of up-pace game, is of interest. Let's see what's going on if we pay a little bit more. Cooper Kupp at 9K, actually playable at that price, no problem. I'm not sure we'll be able to afford a Cooper Kupp. Let's take a look at what that does to our remaining salary. I don't like this one bit. So I think we're going to actually have to find a cheaper, more of a value. I don't want to say cheaper, a value play to plug in the WR2 spot to make some of this stuff work. And let's scroll on down. Ooh, I like Van Jefferson. Scroll on down. This is a little lower than I like to go at wide receiver. There's Laviska Shenault. My boy Zay Jones. He could pop off. You can play him. You can play Zay Jones. I'm not doing that in the first look, but hey, he popped off for us the other day. So that was pretty nice. All right. Getting cheap. I think we can go with Van Jefferson. Trying to think of if any of these other guys, Cordero, Odell Beckham's probably going to play. How about T. Higgins? Coming off the big game, still not priced up. Mike Williams. That's really interesting. Mike Williams, very inexpensive. Man, he does so much. I thought it was the fifth-year breakout for Mike Williams, man. Boy, was I wrong. He's kind of was the fifth-year break. When they throw to him, he catches it. It's just they don't throw to him enough. Darnell Mooney, great connection. No one's going to play him with Justin Fields, potentially. It's been great with Fields. A lot of targets. I think we could play Darnell Mooney for 6,700. 6,300 left. What did we do? We wasted all of our money, huh? All right, let's take a look at the tight end position and see what we can do here if we're going to save a little bit of salary. Let's look at the top end. So you got Gronk, of course, who is always a great play. He's been producing really well. Mark Andrews at the top. George Kittle, fine. Kyle Pitts, I guess if I wanted to bring back, he's one of the potential ones, but I just don't see Atlanta scoring enough to really make me want to roster one of those guys. And we are spending a lot of money here. So we could go all the way down to Foster Moreau. Feels a little skinny for DraftKings or for FanDuel, more of a DraftKings style play, in my opinion. Right here, you've got Goddard at the Jets. Logan Thomas. I don't mind this price point. Logan Thomas, second game back, had a nice little game his first week out. I guess they took that touchdown away, but he almost got a touchdown in there. The volume should be there for Logan Thomas. I don't hate that. I don't think we're going to be able to afford Gronk, who is my favorite play almost every week. And Kyle Pitts would be, like I said, an interesting bring back with Brady, but I just don't think that that interested in bring backs with Brady. So I'm going to plug in Logan Thomas. He's part of a game that I'm interested in anyway, and his $5,600 salary opens up some things at wide receiver and flex that we might be able to do. We've got 67.50 average remaining for two more players. And all right, we should probably decide on what kind of running back we want in the flex, for a last spot. Now, remember, FanDuel is all about running backs in the flex. It's a touchdown favoring format, and running backs just score more consistently than wide receivers do. It's why we play running backs as MVP in the showdowns more often than not. It's why I won the showdown on Monday night with the double running back, little Gibson McKissick combo, playing both. That's how we do it. Players Club. All right, so last flex spot. Now, I want to cheat code this and slot in Sony Michel, right? And just be like, all right, starter's playing. Starter's playing. Gonna start. But there's really no indication that, unfortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, there's no real intense indication that Darrell Henderson is going to take over. Therefore, we really need to reassess what we're going to do. We could pay down with a Montgomery or Jamal Williams. Montgomery, I think, is very playable. The volume that Montgomery gets is great. I don't think a lot of people are going to want to play him against Arizona. I think that, you have Justin Fields at the helm, and no one thinks he can operate a competent offense. So you have to really be wary of that. Here's another one, Myles Gaskin at the Giants. Like, he's playable. These guys, these cheap running backs are all very playable. Boston Scott, if he starts, and Sanders is out, very playable. Very playable. Very playable. James Conner, though, popping is one of the best values on the slate. Kind of got to pay attention to James Conner. Let's see if we play. And then, of course, obviously I want to plug in Jonathan Taylor, but it just doesn't work. We're $3K. Not leaving us a whole lot of money. There are paths to playing Jonathan Taylor this week. We can do it, but we just have to be a little bit creative with our quarterback. We're not going to be able to play a Brady to Evans stack really and pull that off. So, you could do it, but you're going to have to go down to one of the cheaper quarterbacks, which is fine. Love to get Madison in there, all these other guys, but I think let's go with Connor because he is popping on the models as a great value, a touchdown guy. So if we plug him in, we've got 6,200 left for our last wide receiver spot. I think we're going to be able to. Christian Kirk is there. Elijah Moore, not somebody I'm going too crazy for. Odell Beckham, by the way, had a very good game this past week. 16 points, 10 targets. Not bad, Odell. Not bad. But, of course, in that game, the Rams were chasing. I don't remember what happened, actually, in that game. Van Jefferson, I actually might think is a better play than Odell Beckham most weeks. And that might be the way we finish this out. I can also see doing a little something creative here, which is getting rid of Connor. You know what? I'm doing it. This is what my instinct is telling me. Pay down a little bit more at running back. Let's put David Montgomery in there. And by the way, this could be Jamal Williams or Boston Scott as well. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Get me to 7K at wide receiver for my last wide. Oh, I need like another 100. We might have to adjust. All right. That gets us Brandon Ayuk, which is really not bad. Tyler Lockett's up here. Jalen Waddle is fine. Wow, what a game Jalen Waddle had. Just a great game. Tua's still having a hard time throwing for touchdowns, though, but great game for Waddle. Pittman could just style in this matchup, or they could just run so heavily that they don't need him, which is dangerous. just going to play Ayuk with no Deebo Samuel. Got to throw to someone. He becomes Deebo Samuel. So there you have it. Nice little lineup. Tom Brady, Logan Thomas in the lineup. Didn't get Gronk in there. Love Gronk. I already feel sick about having a lineup without Gronk. It makes me sick. But this is what we're going with. Boom. First look lineup. DraftKings. NFL. Week 13. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel, of course. And if you're not already signed up at DFS Army, nothing to wait for. You can use my promo code GEEK and you get 10% off your monthly dues. We are rocking across all the sports right now. So make sure you go get signed up at DFS Army as a VIP. It covers all sports, college football, college basketball, golf, NBA is going crazy right now. All the football you need, you get to hang with me. Maybe you don't want to. Probably don't want to. But if you do, get signed up at DFS Army. You be in our Discord. You can hang with me. All right. That'll do it for the Fanduel NFL Week 13 first look lineup. I'll see you guys next time.